Part 2 of this comment section will be to actually display any comments which have been left underneath the blog post. This again will be in the comments.php file. So let's begin inside of there. We start up at the top by first checking if the current post is password protected. If no password has been entered by the current visitor, we can exit by returning before we load up any of the comments. Let's do this up at the top, just above. Into F brackets, I'm going to add a WordPress function as the first parameter, which is for the format, or in other words, the text which we want to use. Later on in this course, we'll look at how we can add the ability to translate the text in our theme. So some of this may make a little bit more sense later on, but for now, I'm going to surround the if statement section with the _x function. And this will take in 3 parameters. Let's begin by adding in the first 2 required parameters, and then I will explain what these mean. The first one as a string is the text of one comment, and then on. After this, we're going to add some HTML entities, so ampersand, LD, QUO, semicolon, and then the ampersand, then RD, QUO, with a semicolon at the end. Separated by a comma, the second one is going to be the text of comments title. So let's start with the first parameter, which is this line just here. This is the string of text which we'll display in our theme. It will also be a string which we can translate later in the course. We end this string with the left double quotation mark and also the right double quotation mark here. These are HTML entities which are a safer way of adding in symbols into our websites. In effect, this is how it will display on the website, such as one comment, on, and then the quotes. Line 2, which is this one just here. This is the context information for translators. And then later on in the course, we'll add a third optional parameter when translating our theme. Between these double quotations, we also want to display the post title. So this would say something like one comment on blog post 4. Remember before we said by using printf, it allows us to output a formatted string. Well, this allows us to add variables into our text. We can add a variable by adding a % symbol followed by a value, such as the letter S, which means we are expecting a string value. So between the quotes, add a % symbol, and then a S. And this is going to be where we output our variable. But where do we get the value from to insert? We get this by adding a second parameter to our printf function. So just after this X, add a comma. And then we can add a WordPress function called get the title. This function will grab the post title and add it into the string in the place of our % symbol and then the S. And in fact, we'll just add a semicolon just after the printf. Down to the else section. This section will also display similar text to above, but this can also support text which is in a singular or plural form. To support this, rather than using the _x function, we use the function called _nx as the first parameter. Again, let's first write this all out, and then I will explain just afterwards. So the first one is going to be a string. So the % symbol, 1, $S, comment, on, and then we can add just afterwards our left and right quotations. So these are the HTML entity codes of ampersand, LD, QUO, with a semicolon at the end. And then the right quotation, which is the ampersand, RD, QUO, and a semicolon. In between these two, we also need to add our variables. So % to $S. So I know this looks a little strange, but just bear with me for now. I'm going to add a comma, then copy and paste this line, and then all we need to do is add a S on the end of comments. So starting with the first line, let's explain what's going on here. So this first line, or this first parameter of our nx function, is the singular string of text. The second line is the plural version of the same text, i.e. with the S on the end of comments. These strings also have the left and the right double quotations on the outside of here, with our variables placed inside. After this, we can add a third parameter, and this will be the number to compare to decide if we're using the singular or the plural version of our text. We already have a variable of number of comments, so we can add this in with $, number of comments. If this variable is equal to 1, so we only have one comment, it will run the singular version with the word of comment. If it's more than 1, it will run the second line, which will say the word of comments in place. The fourth parameter, which we can also add into this nx function, is the context information for translators, and this is going to be a string of comments title. And this will appear in the translation software we'll use later. You will have noticed we have two placeholders this time in our strings. As we already know from before, these begin with the % symbol, and then we have a value of 1 and also 2. These values are inserted by adding a second and third parameter for printf. So just after our nx function, we can add a comma. These variables are inserted in order, so the first one we add here will go into the placeholder number 1, which is the number of comments. Again, we already have this stored in the variable of number of comments. To enable this number to be localized or translated later, we wrap it in a function called number format i18n. Let's type this out. Number underscore format underscore I 18N. Open up the brackets. And then at the end, we can close off the bracket to surround our variable. If you've not seen I18N before, this is a shorthand version for internationalization. So rather than typing out the full 20 character word, sometimes you see the shortened prefix. So it's I, 18 characters, and then N. Separated by a comma, we can add in the second value for the second variable. This is going to be the page title. We can do this through a WordPress function called getTheTitle. Close this off. Now, if we give this a save and then reload the browser, so we have an unexpected closing curly brace on line 38. So we just need to add a semicolon at the end of printf. Reload, and now this removes any errors from our comment form. The next stage is to add a WordPress function to display our comments. I'm going to do this in the comments form just underneath the level 2 heading. We're going to create a ordered list to display these. Then close off our ordered list below. This will be generated by WordPress, so we need to add this in as a PHP tag. The WordPress function which we're going to add is called WP list comments. List comments takes in an array where we can pass in some settings that we want to add. The default style which we can add in here is the unordered list, but I'm going to change this to be OL. Separated by a comma, we can also set the size of the avatar which we want to display with avatar underscore size. This is then equal to a pixel value which I'm going to set to be 70. WordPress, along with many other websites, will grab your avatar image from a site called gravatar.com. So if you've uploaded an image to this website in the past, this will then display on WordPress. Now if we save this and then go over to the site, I'm going to go to the admin section to first log in, add the username and password. And let's check this box to log in. Go to the site, the blog section, and choose any blog post. Let's add a random string of text as a comment. Hit submit. And good, let's try one more. So comment 2, hit submit. Great, so now all our comments are working. In the next couple of videos, we'll make some more improvements to our comment system. So I will see you there.